the mausoleum of Emperor Longqing of the Ming Dynasty in China. Although he only reigned for 6 years, he made significant achievements in domestic and foreign affairs, including reforming politics and opening up trade. Especially, the peace agreement with the Mongols was critical to the Ming Dynasty. Although his mausoleum is not very grand, its layout was adopted by the Qing Dynasty, and this is the story of this emperor and his mausoleum. In the northern suburbs of Beijing, the capital of China, lies a magnificent royal cemetery where 13 emperors of the Ming Dynasty were buried, including Emperor Longqing. His name was Zhu Zaiji. In 1567, 29-year-old Zhu Zaiji ascended the throne and became the 12th emperor of the Ming Dynasty. It had been nearly 200 years since the establishment of the Ming Dynasty. What he faced was a complete mess. His father, Emperor Jiajing, reigned for 44 years, of which the last 20 years almost totally ignored government affairs and spent all day making elixirs in the hope of immortality. He probably died of poisoning due to long-term use of these so-called elixirs. The young new emperor was very aware of the chaos in the government and corrected many of the wrong policies of the previous emperor as soon as he came to the throne. He appointed many capable officials and gave them the trust to implement policies beneficial to the people and wipe out corruption. The domestic situation has improved since then. However, at that time, the biggest threat to the Ming Dynasty came from the northern nomads. In 1368, Zhu Yuanzhang drove the rulers of the Yuan Dynasty back to the northern grasslands and established the Ming Dynasty. However, the Yuan Dynasty still existed, and the conflict between the two regimes continued. Several emperors in the early years of the Ming Dynasty had been trying to send troops to eliminate the threat, but they all failed. In 1449, during a poorly planned military operation, the Ming Emperor Zhu Qizhen was even captured by the Mongols. Although he was released a year later, this failure greatly shocked the Ming Dynasty. From then on, the Ming Dynasty adopted a defensive posture against the Mongols. Therefore, the Ming Dynasty built the Great Wall on a large scale, with a total length of more than 6,000 kilometers. Most of the Great Wall we see today was built in the Ming Dynasty. In fact, the Great Wall is not all made of bricks. Many sections of the Great Wall are made of rammed earth. The hall we see now was rebuilt decades ago, and the original one was destroyed after the fall of the Ming Dynasty. In addition, the Ming Dynasty also built cities with the nature of military fortresses along the Great Wall to defend against the Mongols. These ancient military buildings can still be seen in these cities. The long-term hostility required the Ming Dynasty to maintain a large army, and its military budget was enormous. Under such circumstances, Emperor Longqing was determined to contact the Mongols and seek to reach a peace agreement. In fact, In addition to seizing territory, due to the low manufacturing industry of the nomads, the main reason why the Mongols attacked the Ming Dynasty was to plunder the necessities of daily life. Therefore, the Ming Dynasty started peace talks on the condition of open trade. Soon, an agreement was reached. The Ming Dynasty opened 11 trade markets in border areas. Mongols could come here to sell cattle, horses, and sheep in exchange for daily necessities and grains. We can still see the remains of these markets today. Believe it or not, the two ditches on the stone ground are the ruts of wooden wheels of horse carts. You can imagine the prosperity here at that time. From then on, until the fall of the Ming Dynasty more than 70 years later, the two sides maintained peace. At the same time, Emperor Longqing changed the Ming Dynasty's policy prohibiting maritime trade and allowed the private sector to carry out foreign trade. These two new policies brought considerable revenue to the Ming government. There is a decorative screen wall at the end of this tunnel, and the big mound behind it is the emperor's tumulus. The layout of the 13 imperial tombs of the Ming Dynasty is similar but not the same. This layout is the first of its kind in the Ming tombs. The Qing Dynasty, which succeeded the Ming Dynasty, adopted the same mausoleum layout. The difference is that the underground palaces of the Qing Dynasty emperors were very shallow. Digging a few meters down from this position would be the entrance to the tomb chamber. However, the Ming tomb's underground palaces were very deep. For example, the Dingling tomb chamber was 27 meters underground. Emperor Longqing and the 3 empresses were buried in this underground palace. They did not die at the same time. Therefore, the tomb was opened several times, and the entrance is almost certainly not under this wall. As for the layout of the underground palace, we don't know, because archaeologists have not opened the tomb, but it should be the same as the Dingling mentioned earlier. That mausoleum belonged to his son Wan Li. You can see it from the air. It's right next to this tomb, and it's much bigger than this one. And that tomb chamber is now open. I will leave the link in the description. By the way, Emperor Longqing only had 2 adult sons. One was Emperor Wan Li, and the other was Zhu Yiliu. His tomb is also open. I will leave the link in the description too. In 1572, Emperor Longqing passed away at the age of 35. He only reigned for 6 years. However, he created a prosperous situation for the Ming Dynasty, which allowed the Ming Dynasty to last for more than 70 years after his death. Among the 16 emperors of the Ming Dynasty, many were absurd and incompetent, but Emperor Longqing was definitely not one of them. The official history of the Ming Dynasty calls him a capable emperor. Considering his achievements, this evaluation is appropriate.